Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for 10 Minute Tuesday. This is another fantastic episode, and I have my good friend Sia on here. Sia, what's going on?
Hello, I'm Sia. I'm a data engineer at Spotify, and I also am uh, BlackTides operations lead. I'm doing great. It's Friday, so
It
that's
is.
good.
It is Friday. We're almost
Yeah,
there. Tail end. Get a little bit of break. I can't wait.
yeah,
I know we
yeah.
both we both been grinding and working hard, so I'm excited to hop into this conversation. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, you did an introduction right then, but go ahead and really introduce yourself. Tell the world a little bit about you.
Yeah. So I'm a Tanzanian girl who happened to like sports. So it helped me get into statistics, which helped me get into a data career. And I've been at it for about 8+ years. And currently, I'm a data engineer. My most recent job is at Spotify, and I've also worked in education, like ed tech, consulting, and government healthcare, and global mobility. So all over the place,
So
data is
why
transferable. Yeah,
Yeah, so you've done a wide range, different industries. Let's see, education to music to just everything, and
yeah,
it's really fascinating journey.
yeah. I think like being able to stay open to those different avenues allowed me to say yes to some of those things. Um, and I learned different things because not everybody does things the same way in every industry. So that was also good.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned your background. You're a person who loves sports and statistics, and then that brought you into kind of what you're doing now. But understanding sports, and really, we got to start somewhere. So what really compelled you to get into data to begin with?
I think mostly I was doing, so my first job, which is in the global mobility, I was working with data that the end user was an accountant a lot of the time. And they would liked everything in spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets. And it was very tedious when you review things without having an automated way to filter out some logic. So, because it was very tedious, I was like, there has to be a better way to do this. And I started learning how to use, advanced Excel. And then I ended up learning how to use SQL just to automate reports and create filters. And from there, really, I just got sucked in. I went back to school and I've been in data ever since. Yeah.
Wow. So really, I think the Excel piece is a lot of people's journey. It's like here's this Excel file, here's all this like tedious task, and then when we figure out a way
Very.
of like automate this stuff, like how can we make this more efficient? Because we're not lazy, we're efficient. So how can we
Yeah.
automate this and make it better for us?
Uh-huh. Because I don't know if you've had this before, but if you have a user who Excel is their life, but they are not the person who creates the data, they have questions about everything.
Yeah,
So you kind of have to save your time.
yeah.
Otherwise, you could spend a day reviewing something in Excel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that because I focus on like the data visualization storytelling component of it.
Mm.
So we have the people who just want to export this to Excel and let me put it in a pivot
Yeah,
table and my numbers are this, but your numbers on the dashboard are this. Why aren't they tying out? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that could be a separate episode within itself to talk
Yeah.
through. All right, so understanding your journey, right? You've done a number of things, and I'm sure there are some things that you didn't like at some point. Um, and this doesn't necessarily have to be data related, but what's been your least favorite job to date that you've had?
Probably that one that we just talked about, because I had to convince people to kind of do those things. A lot of it was not set up, or it wasn't owned by the team I was on. So everything was new. We had maybe we'd have a report that was set up, but we didn't set it up. So if you needed to change it or to automate it, you would have to ask for help from like the engineering side. So it and everyone I worked with had more years of experience. This is not a slight. I mean that to say they had been there longer than I had. So there is this thing where it's hard to challenge when someone is there a while. But when you bring a new way to do things and it's a good idea, most of the time people listen, I think. And I was lucky that in that spot they did, and we were able to change some things. We changed some of the things that had been set up by someone like years ago as a favor. So we had like our own suite of SSRS reports, scheduled reporting, sending emails on automation, like saved hours and hours. Um, Stuff like setting up macros for like formatting reports, the things that you send in Excel. So I feel like it was my least favorite until I figured out I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do it and ask for forgiveness. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all, definitely ones who are prominent and progressive and really push forward, we all reach that annoyed breaking point of, you know what, F it, like I'm just gonna do it, and ask for
Hmm.
forgiveness later. Like I'm tired of the repetitiveness, or I'm tired of this, like I'm just gonna do it and
Yeah.
progress. And I think that mentality, especially for the great ones, and I consider you a great person in your craft, but that mentality goes far. It's just like, hey, let's
Hmm.
see what happens and we'll just go from there.
Yeah. So I think it worked out great. I wouldn't have learned all these things. So, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So understanding your journey, right? You started in Excel, now you're data engineer and doing a lot of things in between. I'm sure you've experienced some failures with quotation marks around failure. What would you consider being your biggest failure, and what did you really learn from that experience?
Mm, that's a big question. Biggest, I feel like I have different types of like landmark failures that taught me like a big lesson. Um, One that I would say in that job, but another my one of the jobs I worked in government consulting was as a lead. I learned that the hard way that you have to train your customer. So my biggest failure there was I was working with a team, and in the jobs that we had a manager, and they would promise timelines that we couldn't deliver. And I felt like I failed my team because I didn't communicate well the technical aspects that would make it hard for those timelines to be met. And so a lot of the time it would be a scenario where I'm getting an instruction and just passing it on, which is not fair to the people I'm working with. So it really helped me think about how you train your clients, how you train your manager, uh, because you have to say, hey, before you promise, talk to us so that we can figure this out and maybe add a buffer a day or two when you are then communicating back. Like if we say it will take us 2 days, say three or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that was like a big failure only because it didn't just affect me, it affected more people than just me in their days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And I've had like a similar experience, and I've talked to other people who have a similar one as well. I think whether it's I won't call it ego, that's not the right word, but confidence in your abilities, or not necessarily speaking up or whatever. It's like, yeah, 2 days I can get it done, right? You just put
Hmm.
that internal
Yeah.
pressure on yourself versus just being like, hey, we actually really should build in a buffer or communicate that. I feel like that's a part of the process that a lot of people who mature in this industry really, really just go through, is like an element of like, I'll be able to do anything, I'll get it done no matter what, versus
Yeah.
just being like, hey, raise your hand a little bit and, save everybody some time and some heartburn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really does go a long way. Like I think it's in the beginning you're trying to build credibility, so you're like, I can do this. I want you to trust me, but then you kind of have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like, from my experience, and I think from others as well, there's a comfortability as you
Hmm.
evolve. in your career and who you are to be able to raise your hand a little bit more. But like you said, just starting out,
Right.
like you have this chip on your shoulder to prove yourself. But then
Hmm.
I think as you go through, bumps and bruises, it becomes a little bit more easier to kind of raise your hand.
You're making me think of like junior versus senior engineer right now. I hope this is something you talk about one day because I would love to listen to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I might expand on this a little bit more. But
Hmm.
yeah, this is great. This is a great conversation. All right. So thinking about this, right? You just mentioned junior to senior. The audience of this sometimes are junior people, but then some are senior people as well. But for this question, is tailored toward the junior people who are just starting out. What's one piece of
Okay.
advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
Uh, Technical or in general? I know we're in
Uh,
data, but
Mixture of both, right? Here's a technical portion of it, but in general, what would you give someone?
um, okay, technical, I would say learn out loud, learn in public. You probably have heard this before, but it really works. It's not necessarily to say show your successes in public. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are working through a course and you want to learn something, try build it out. Try make a project out of it. Like Seku, also sports fan, I saw you make a Titans dashboard. So like find something to tie it to. And if you're stuck, ask questions out loud because people then know what you're working on in public. They can remember, oh, I saw this person ask a question about this. Now I see they finished this dashboard. So they figured it out. Like you're telling a story that keeps uh, people's eyes on you in a way that makes them remember you when you're looking for opportunities. The in general one is I would say stay curious. The people who have accomplished the biggest things are always learning. I so admire someone like Angie Jones, Java champion, 26 patents, plus probably by now, founder, teacher, everything in the universe you can think of. She'll be talking about how she's learning some new language that somebody else uses. I'm like, this lady's a VP of developer relations at a global company, but she's still learning something new. So it will take you far. You'll never be bored. You'll always grow. Stay curious. Yeah.
That's really great advice, and definitely for people starting out and in their career, right? To stay curious. Like I've seen people who I won't call it peak, but they stop being curious once they either got some recognition or
Yeah.
notoriety or whatever, and the passion for the craft and for the
Hmm.
learning went away. You kind of see them slowly like just dwindle down, and they don't have that curiosity for the anymore for the craft.
That is a great point. Because there is always this also, I do not participate, but all these conversations about do you have passion for it? I don't care. If you want to make money, that's great. But if you don't have the passion, if it's passion for anything, you should, what you said, passion for learning, because you can get left behind pretty quickly. And that affects your money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, real quick.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. So tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
Oh, okay. So I already mentioned Angie. I feel like I wouldn't be thinking of my career the way I do without her. Natalie Davis, also an engineer. Love her. She's like my big sister. I think the BlackTides community in general is very supportive to me. It helps not just in my career, but it's like a community I can tap into outside of work. So Kim, who's the founder, and just everyone in the group who keeps the community going, because you have to put work into that. And last but not least, I was raised by a pretty amazing mom and my godmother. They are geniuses in their own right. They do not talk about it as much. They do not show it outside, but if like I could go to the bank I have done this. I've gone to the bank and somebody saw my last name and they're like, wait, that's your mom? They'd be like, I wish I could be like her. She's a doctor. But like, like for a doctor to be someone's inspiration at the bank is like, so I think my mom is a genius and I appreciate just how she's impacted the way I think about life and career
Love that,
and
man.
standards.
Yeah, love that. Shout out to the moms, man.
Yeah.
Moms are great.
Yep. They are great. Yeah.
Awesome. Big. I'm gonna shout out to my mom, mother-in-law, everybody. Y'all are amazing. If y'all listening.
Yay.
Awesome.
And you have a daughter, right?
Yes, daughter, and I'm
Uh,
actually recording this on her birthday, so she actually just turned 3 today. So,
Happy birthday, niece. Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
today's her birthday.
Okay.
Awesome.
Happy
Well,
birthday.
see ya. Where can listeners find you at online?
Oh, okay. So I have a LinkedIn. I'm Sia Seko and everything, but I rarely go there. But I am also on Twitter because I still call it that. A Sia way forward. I don't necessarily always talk data because I am also a sports fan. But that's probably where you can find me the most. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And also, BlackTides. We are on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. If you have any questions, anything you need, I'm happy to just chat and answer those. Yeah, for anyone. And good luck. It's hard out here. It's the holidays. I hope everyone is just doing the best they can in this data hustle. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sia, for recording twice. The first blunder was on me, so appreciate you jumping on again.
Okay.
It's really nice of you. And thank you, everybody, for watching, and we will talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a great day.